everybody, Jake Spano, Mayor here in St. Louis Park. This is your Mayor's Minute for January 11th. Two things to talk about. Number one, last night at Council, we got a great briefing from staff about Omicron and its impact in our community around hospitalization and mortality. We also had a conversation about the wearing of masks. As you're aware, cities around the metro are beginning to re-explore mask mandates. Minneapolis passed a mask mandate. Last week, Edina decided not to pass a mandate, just a recommendation asking their community to wear masks. Last night, council had questions for staff around implementation and enforcement and communications. And so we didn't quite land on a place either way. We're going to pick this conversation back up next week when we can get a little bit more information from staff, and it'll give us a little bit more of an opportunity to think this through. So if you have comments or questions or concerns or suggestions about this item, feel free to either reach out to us directly. Our contact information is below, or you can leave your comments here in the, you can leave your thoughts here in the comment section. Secondly, yesterday, myself, the mayors of Edina, Plymouth, Bloomington, Minnetonka, and Eden Prairie invited mayors from around the region, police chiefs, county officials, and state officials in the law enforcement space to join us in our sort of next step in the conversation around addressing some of the rise in carjackings and violent crimes that have been taking place in the region. It was a great conversation. County attorneys from Hennepin and Ramsey, the Hennepin County Sheriff, State Department, the Commissioner of Corrections for the state of Minnesota was there. I think it gave chiefs and mayors a good opportunity to make sure that those folks understood where we had concerns, what was working, what we were seeing. And begin but take the next step in some of the regional work that we would like to do around public safety. So I would say the purpose coming out of yesterday was to determine whether or not there was interest in this topic. There was. Begin a kind of outline for what a regional collaboration might look like. And we did start that process. I will say there were some suggestions brought forward that I think are great ideas, but I'm not sure they're sufficient for what we're up against right now. Some of the ideas that were brought forward are some of the basic tenets of community-oriented policing, which is a model that we use and have been using for decades. And I think that every city should be doing them. It just feels like this requires something in addition to that. And so I'm hopeful that we can get past that place. The other aspect of yesterday was to begin talking about specific things that we can do. And so in advance of yesterday's meeting, myself and Mayor Fry and Mayor Hovland from Edina met to have breakfast to talk about sort of an outline of what collaboration, or at least some principles around collaboration would look like, but then also talk about some specifics. So a couple of examples I'll give you that we talked about that I think we're in agreement on. Minneapolis has a very robust investigations and analysis division, so it's much bigger than ours, so they can investigate crimes with more staff than we have. We'd like to use some of that skill and knowledge and resource in investigating crimes in St. Louis Park. At the same time, we know that Minneapolis is fairly short-staffed in their police department right now. And so we talked about the idea that some calls for service that happen in neighborhoods in Minneapolis that are on our border, that perhaps St. Louis Park police officers, workloads allowing, would be responding to some of those calls for service to support PD in Minneapolis. And I think there was interest in that. And that last piece in particular is something that we've been doing with suburban communities for a long time. We've been working collaboratively like that for a while. But trying to take that to the next level with Minneapolis and then take that as an idea out to the broader group, I think was something we were interested in. So all of those things I discussed yesterday at this meeting, and it was a good next step. And I'm already in touch with Mayors Hovland and Fry about where do we go from here. So more to come on that. If you have thoughts or suggestions or comments on that, feel free to reach out to me, or as I said, you can leave them in the comment section below. Lastly, next week is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So Monday, most of our city facilities will be closed. You can find out more about what's open and what's not at the link below. So until next week, have a great week and stay warm, everybody, all right? I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Oh, and if you've got ideas or suggestions for subjects you'd like me to cover in a Mayor's Minute, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm always looking for good ideas of things that folks are interested in. So have a good week. Bye.